because when I came home after 8 years, I paroled out to my brother's walk-in closet.
I still got 3 years of parole left.
Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington. I'm an original shark from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and I'm here with Brendan. We've got a big event happening this fall in Kansas City, and I'm going to be there. I know you're going to be there, Brendan. Let's tell the folks all about it so we can get them there too.
Are you letting fear, doubt, insecurities, what other people think stop you? Are you ready to get to the next level of your life? That's what we do. Go on over to comechangeyourlife.com, see what's going on. We have events all over, but we have a powerful event coming up this fall where Kevin is going to be speaking. So if you want to come meet him, you want to come meet me and my team, come on, comechangeyourlife.com.
How's it going, everyone? I'm excited to be speaking at the Becoming a Better You event in Kansas City this September. I'm going to be speaking on how you can grow a personal brand, but also have more success in your business. The different things I've overcome over the years, from facing bankruptcy to then growing and building a multi-million-dollar portfolio, scaling companies, working with teams, having some fun along the way. But beyond that, there's going to be opportunity for a select group of people to actually pitch myself and Kevin Harrington, the original shark from Shark Tank, opportunity to pitch us, to win prizes, and to be able to potentially take home the #1 place, the first place prize at this competition. So you're going to want to click the link below and apply to actually pitch us, apply for the pitch competition, but also come attend to this event. It's be a great event. Again, Becoming the Better You in Kansas City this September. Get your tickets, and I'll see you there.
Hey, everybody. It's Bren from Felon to Fabulous is coming. I think Izzy's in the back room. We got a spectacular guest for you. Man, am I excited because he's also a friend of mine. But let's bring up Izzy. Hey, Izzy.
Hey, what's up? What's going on, Professor of Change?
Oh, well, out here changing things up, making things happen, and getting off that couch and getting out there and doing things.
Exactly. One breath and step at a time, right?
That's
Not a
right.
race.
That's right. So you actually met our guest that's coming up, Donald Toldson, at an event we had in, I think, St. Louis.
It was. And when I tell you he lit up that room, oh my gosh. And I shared with him in the back room how he inspired me that night to be bold with my presentations, to go out there and get the room hype and just show up as your true self. And y'all don't want to miss him. Get your tickets, comechangeyourlife.com, and you want to be there in September.
Absolutely. So let's bring him up. Hey, Donald, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. How are you both doing?
Great.
Good, good.
So wanted to kind of get the ball rolling here with you. So Donald is not a felon. Donald had a family member, actually more than one, that is. And he's going to talk about what the family goes through, because we always talk about the felon or the person who did the time, but it actually affects a lot of people, more people than people think. So Donald, start talking about what happened with you and your daughter.
Thank you, Brenda. First of all, thank you for having me on your show. I think this is something that is very, very valuable. It's something that's needed because not only not only when a family member go to jail, but that loved one goes to jail with them.
Right.
And I recall my daughter back in 2010. She gave me a call and she said, Dad, the FBI is here. I'm like, why? And she said, I'm not sure. They're taking all of my stuff. They're taking my laptop. They're taking my computer. What's going on, Dad? I said, don't worry, I will be over there. So I rushed over there. And of course, they would not let me go in. But I found out later that my daughter, and she has a very, very good heart. She was attempting to listen to someone that she thought was a friend. They had convinced her, and the business that she had, she did the permitting service and the tax service for her own trucking company. So she dealt with a lot of taxes. So when the FBI came in, they were questioning her about the taxes that she was doing for, a lot of truckers. So she got there, and I arrived there, and they allowed me to talk to her, and I found out that she was helping truckers not pay taxes. So that's a big thing. Whenever you deal with the federal government and you don't pay taxes, it becomes a serious thing. So I went to court with my daughter, and they gave her 1 year in federal service. Not federal service. They gave her 1 year of federal time. And I recall going to court with my daughter. She's sitting over there. She's looking back at me and her mom, and she's very scared. You talking about scared, because not only was it affecting my daughter, but she had 3 little kids.
Oh no.
At home. The baby, the baby was only 1 year old.
Oh man.
So that broke her heart. And plus, she was newly married, and she was like, Dad, what am I gonna do, Dad? What am I gonna do? And so they gave her a year in federal prison. I had an opportunity to go and actually sit down and talk to her. Now I was trying to hold back my tears, because when they finally brought her out there, and of course, you can see them on the monitor. They don't allow you to see them face to face, but they have the monitor where you can dial in, and all of it's is videotaped, and But I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my daughter, and as soon as her eyes met my eyes, the tears began to fall, because that was the first time that she had ever been into any real serious trouble. And I do allow our kids to make those mistakes and give them room to grow.
Absolutely.
So we're sitting there, and then the tears began to fall, and she said, "Dad, I can't take this, Dad. I'm going out of my mind, Dad." So I'm sitting there and I'm crying and she's crying. And I told her, "Don't worry, the kids are doing fine," because, she hadn't seen her kids in probably 3 months. Yeah,
Right.
in 3 months. So all of this was very trying on her, and she was scared. She was scared because that was the first time that she had really been in any serious, and it scared me because I did not know what to expect.
Mhm.
And her husband, he was taking care of the kids. I wasn't sure if he was going to leave her because of all of this.
Mhm.
He was scared. He did not know what was going on. So she did that time. But then, as I was sitting there and I was talking with her, even though I have never served any time in jail, I started thinking about my own life, because sometimes we can be in prison in our own mind.
Absolutely.
I had someone that told me that my dream, my goal, my vision, those things that meant so much to me, that they were only an expensive hobby. So I became trapped in my own mind. I became imprisoned in
Mhm.
my mind. And as I was sitting there talking to my daughter, it got to a point, as I'm looking at her eyes meeting mine, and it got to a point where I did not know which side of the wall I was on,
Right.
because I was
Right.
trapped in my mind. I was imprisoned in my mind. Well, my daughter, she served that 1 year in federal prison here in Florida. And when she came out, after we had talked, when she came out, she was so scared, but yet said, "Dad, I'm going to make up for this. I'm going to make up for this." And when she came out,
Mhm.
she, she was hesitant to go back into the same business of, of permitting, doing taxes for the truckers.
Mhm.
She came out and she started several other businesses which are thriving right now.
Nice. Good.
But when those things happen to us, they were not meant to be a life sentence.
Right.
You know, we
Just
learn from
glad to
them.
hear you say that.
Yes, we learn from them and we grow.
Yes. And thank you for sharing that. How old was your daughter when this happened to her?
He was probably about 27, maybe 28.
Yeah. So right in her 20s, right when, it's never a perfect time, but if you had to choose a time for something like this to happen, it surely wouldn't be right when you're starting your family and um to building your own life and stuff. So I'm so happy to hear that she went the entrepreneur route, because that's typically where you see a lot of felons thrive. They have the opportunity to tap deeper into themselves, and the ones that come out with an action plan and a good support system and all of that, they can succeed still. But
Yes,
like you said, if you're trapped here, you
yes,
might get in your own way, even if the opportunities are there.
And
yes.
let me tell you, it happens. It's real. It's real.
Let me tell you, let me tell you about this phone call that keeps coming in, because I want to share it.
Mhm.
Could you hear the phone call in the background?
No, you just go blank.
Okay, okay. It's just so happened my oldest son right now, and this why I feel that this is a purpose. Right now, oldest son, he's this is his first time calling me in the last 3 months.
Oh, wow.
This is live, and the reason he's calling me, because right now he's calling me from jail.
Okay. Wow.
I found out because, and he's homeless by choice, because I've done everything. I brought him into my home, and he's homeless. But and this is live. So right now we're having this live broadcast. The phone is ringing, and that's why I'm going blank. But the phone is ringing because he's calling me from jail, because he was homeless and he was hungry. So they have him several times for shoplifting. And in the state of Florida, they just recently passed a bill where homeless people, it is criminal to be homeless. So it's
Oh,
going to affect a lot of people now,
Kick
because
them while they're down, huh?
yeah, yeah. So they would go to jail because they're homeless and they're sleeping on public property. I find that so damaging to the people that are homeless. But back to our daughter, as a parent, we warn our kids. We have that sense of feeling. And before she was incarcerated, I kept telling my daughter, I said, be careful with that friend that you have. I'm having a bad feeling about her. She would go down to Miami and they would take her out on the boat, out on the water.
Yeah, they were whining and dining her.
As to their mansion and all the fine clothes and the place to eat. And she became so intrigued by that life until she made a mistake. And a lot of times we make mistakes, we pay for them, but as I stated earlier, it's not a life sentence.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Donald, if we can, I really felt, I'm going to pause real quick for us. As an intentional healer, I have managed to change my life because I grew up in that life. By learning how to pause and breathe and bring myself back to the moment and be able to vision, right, the big picture. And what you just said to me really touched me because my sons have both been homeless before. They've battled addiction to methamphetamines for 10 years. And it's as a parent, man, that's where the majority of my strength has come in my faith and me saying yes to being the intentional healer when I was called to be that was because I had to watch my children go through this. I want to pause and breathe for your son real quick.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so just take a couple deep breaths. We give thanks that he's where he's at exactly at the time he's there, because we know nothing is on accident. So we can't wait to hear the story on the other side of this. And may we send him some love and some peace and comfort in this moment.
You don't know how long he's going to be there, right?
No, we don't. And what's sad about it is that he's taking drugs. He's what they call on the streets Molly, and he's taking several drugs that he's taking. I've had to have him Baker Act several times because the drugs start causing mental health issues. So it's what led him to being homeless. And this might be for a whole nother show, but when you talk about a kid who was a high school football player of the star of the football team, went to a scholarship, went to college, and because of his drugs and started doing all these crazy things, he lost his football scholarship, came back home, and started having all these mental health issues, still using drugs. And all of this was part of that process that have led him time and time and time again to find himself behind bars. Right. Now, one of my greatest fear, he said, well, Dad, it's only something that's minor. It's nothing, that's going to give me any real time. I said, son, if you continue that path,
habitual violator.
Yes, it's very possible. So he went from a misdemeanor charge, and now they have him listed as a felon.
That's how people get stuck in the system.
Yes.
It becomes a cycle. And I saw it, so many times the couple of years I worked as a correction officer. And it's so sad to see because it's usually the young ones that get trapped in that system because they just don't have the life experience to have a true understanding of what's really going on.
Yes.
That's right. And they're locked up with, in their brain and their activities with their friends, and the friends are more important than the family, and the drugs are more important than the family, and the family doesn't know anything. They don't want that advice from you. You're just dad. But let me tell you, prison doesn't discriminate. Incarceration doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if you're an addict. It doesn't care how much money you make. And unfortunately, it's not always even fair.
Yeah. And there's been times, my daughter, her mom and I, we would set up at nighttime, hold each other, and just cry because you and this is when they and I'm not trying to make a felon or anyone feel bad because we all make mistakes, and like I said, it's not a life sentence, but when they enter that system, it's not just them entering that prison system, but it's the whole family, every
Right.
single that love that child, uncle, brother, they enter that system, and they feel that pain. Now, I love what's going on now with Brenda, and I love this process that's going on because even though we make those mistakes, our life is not over.
Right.
We learn,
Amen.
we come out of
Only
it.
if you let it be. It's a choice.
Mindset.
Yes, we
It's a
come out.
mindset.
If we let it, we make better choices and not get caught up in that system. Because I've watched cousins go to prison, spend their whole life in prison. Out west. This was back during the gang days when they went to prison. So I've, kids, young cousins that I grew up with. They
Well,
were,
I, I saw you in Florida. I saw you twice. So we had lunch close to Winter Haven. And then
yeah,
I saw you at an event for She Exists magazine. And I
yes,
shared a little bit about my story, but you already knew it. And the
yes,
reason why I wanted to get this out there and you can continue on was you told me then, well, Brenda, that's part of your story.
yes.
And you said you wouldn't be doing now what you're doing right now if that wasn't part of your story. So you can turn the story around. You
Yeah,
can do more things with it and use it for good. And look at your daughter now. Look at what she's going through. Wouldn't you say you're proud of her?
very, very proud of her. I heard this quote that our story is not for us, but it's for others. So sometimes
Right.
we're on a process. You say, Lord, why did this happen to me? Well, we can never ask why it happened, but it is to help someone else who's going through those challenges. If
Right.
they look at Brenda and say, yeah, Brenda, she did this, but look at her now. It's not how you start, but it's how you finish.
Exactly.
And the
Exactly.
future that you're,
And yes, and I had somebody tell me I didn't have the blessing of learning my lesson in prison.
oh,
And I had to think about that, right? And I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful because for me, it took the prison to learn the lesson, or I would
yes,
still be living that same old life that I was unhappy in. Yeah, I made a lot of money, but I was unhappy. I was miserable. Relationships were not good. And my life is changed because of it. Does
Yeah.
everybody come out a changed person? No. It is a mindset and it is a choice. It is a decision that they have to make. But I said no more. And when you get around other people who accept you for who you are, where you are right now, and Dr. Ruben West, who we're getting ready to go to Africa with just
yeah,
next week, he told me the person I see before me now is not the person who did all those things. And when he told me that, it was 2019, right
wow,
before COVID. And I said, wow, I don't even know him really. And yet he's seeing a different person. So if the stranger can see
yes,
the good in what we're doing, then other people can see it too. And I thought, man, I didn't meet Izzy until 2021. And I shared a little bit of my story with her. There was no judgment, but I didn't know her background. See, we tend to hide and we stick ourselves away, hoping nobody
I
might
used to
find
hold my
out.
team.
Right. And we don't know what somebody else's life is like. You didn't tell me in Florida that your daughter had been to prison. You didn't say a word.
did not, I did not,
Yeah,
and he-
you did
and here,
not. We talked about that later.
yes, and here's why, because sometimes we feel that I wouldn't say I had to. I didn't share it because I felt it was my daughter's,
Story to
story.
tell?
Yes,
Yes.
and to respect her and let her tell it when she was ready. Now I've told
Mm-hmm.
her, and here's the thing: she's an author. she write books. Well, I'm coaching her into writing her book, but she has her journal. I said, Lisa, this is a book. You know,
Yeah.
you have so many great things on the inside of you. And so I'm coaching her in order to be able to put her narrative into a book format. And yes, share your
Love
story.
that.
Story is not just for you. Your story is to help someone else who's coming out and they need to know that there's life after.
Exactly.
That they don't have to go back in the system. They don't have to be part of that repetition. Right.
Right.
You know, the other thing too, Donald, is you have, so you are an international speaker, you are an author, you're more than one time author, and you travel. You're part of I Change Nations with Dr. Clyde Rivers. You're a distinguished Toastmasters. You work with Dr. Reuben West. You work with all of these people. And then to hear you sharing these stories about your children says that you're just a regular guy, just like the rest of us. Incarceration does not discriminate. It can hit up good families. It can hit up bad families. It can hit up anybody. You just never know who it's going to touch, and it touches more people than you think it does.
Yes.
I would have
Yes.
never guessed that talking to you. What is the mindset like when you find out your child's going to go to prison for a year?
It's painful. It's painful. And I think the worst, it gets easier as you begin to visit them and see them. But that first instance, because you know you watch them grow up as kids, and you know when daddy's carrying you on your shoulder and you're my little girl, but then once you get to a point when you see your daughter or your son for the first time where they have lost their freedom, it hurts. It hurts. It rips your heart out of your chest. So what do you do from there? You motivate them. You keep talking to them,
Yes.
and you tell them this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times those that are incarcerated, they don't have that support system, you
Right.
know, really to speak life into them in order so that when they get out, hey, this is what you need to do. Life is better, you know. Let's not go back into into that mindset. You know, we have to change their minds because while they're in there, sometimes they become, you know, what we call hard. You know, they want to be tough. You know, they want to. But they have to do that in order to really make it. But then when you get out of that scene, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we have to, they have to be able to change their minds by finding new friends, finding people that are going places so that they can have good example of
Right.
what it is to have a good life. It doesn't mean that you're going to have all this money or anything, but you will have a good life.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have a better life. For
Yes.
me, it really forced me to have to evaluate where I was. And I tell people when I speak now, and a friend of mine kind of brought this to me, I spent 4 years in a jail cell, and I was in maximum security detention center holding facility waiting for my case. So I spent over 35,000 hours evaluating what was wrong with me. It only takes 10,000 hours to be a master at anything. So I decided that I was going to come out changed and I was going to set the example for other people. But that only works if they want it, right? It's not something that you just wake up and say, oh, I'm changed. It's a process and it can take years. And true change shows. And Izzy and I are wearing, what are we wearing, Isabel?
Yes. Eric Cohen. We want to give a shout out
That's
today.
now
Because
he was on
instead
a
of
show
saying, why
previously.
me? He said,
Yes,
thank you, God, for choosing me. And he did
that's right.
something with it.
That's
Not
good.
only did he do something with it, he went on to get some awards this past 2 weeks ago for being the gospel music songwriter of the year or something like that, and performer. So he got 2 really nice awards in the gospel music arena. Now he writes his own music, he sings, and he turned his tragedy into a story that's helping others through his music. Now he
Yeah.
didn't go to prison, but he was incarcerated through mental institutions. But he was an addict. He did all of these things, and he's still married. He still has his children. He still has this life that he's changed, right? But he's doing something with it to help others. His music is
Yeah.
helping others through it, and
I want
that's
to
what we do.
chime in if
Yes.
I can. I feel like a common thread, and Donald mentioned it a little bit, is support. When you hear success stories of people coming out of prison, the majority of the time they speak on a support system, whether it be on the outside or them building a support system in the inside, because there are people that are incarcerated with you who want to see you do better. And it's usually the elder ones. They want to see the young ones coming in do better. So it's about utilizing that support. Relationships are two ways as well. So know that it's a give take in life, and build a good support system. And I believe that you could do anything, right? That's why I've been able to grow. I have my AYPN and BTBY family. Without that, I don't think I would. I know I would not be where I'm at right now.
It's because of support. It's because of support. And Donald, you told me something. I don't even know if you realize this. And it was, we met through Dr. West, through probably either him or Clyde, maybe through Facebook. But you told me something, and I don't remember in what we were talking about. And you said, "I'm glad to see what you're doing."
Yes.
You didn't even tell you, and it clicked with me every time I saw you. Oh, wow. He told me he was glad to see what I was doing. And you meant it. So that means there's other people out there that need this. So your story, being a dad of somebody who was incarcerated, now somebody that is incarcerated, you're here to still help them. You're still going to be for them. But you also have a book out. What is the name of that book?
The name of the book I've written is called Living Without Limits. And what inspired me to write that book is because we all go through various trials. You might not have been in prison. You might not have finished school, or you might have gotten pregnant early. Or you were homeless. So many things goes on with life. The young people call it now, life is lifing. So life would happen. Murphy Law. Whatever could go wrong will go wrong. Murphy will be outside your door waiting on you. So when life happens, then just like with someone going to prison, we have to find a better way. Life, living without limit. Just because we weren't born with that silver spoon in our mouth, just because we made a mistake, we have to wipe that and put that in the past, because the only thing that can come back and haunt us is our past. But when we begin to, now, where am I now? Where do I want to go? Then that's what's going to change the trajectory of our life. Living without limits. Don't let your circumstances limit your potential. Continue to move forward.
I could have used your book 2 years ago. I could have used your book even a year ago. Because let me tell you, when I was sitting with you face to face in Florida, and we were all dolled up and dressed up at this event, I was still kind of hiding behind my story. And Izzy already knows this. I was still hiding behind my story. And I was saying, "Oh, please don't ask me. Please don't ask me to explain." You tend to just hide it. But I've learned to embrace it, because I came through it, and it didn't kill me. It didn't hurt me. It did hurt others at the time, and it did hurt me at the time because I was embarrassed and all these things that went through it. But it actually, truth, when the truth is exposed, it's healing.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you have a surgery, so when I had my knees fixed, I was bone on bone, and I had all that pain, right? And I was in pain, and I didn't want to go through surgery. And then I have that surgery, and that surgery pain hurts. But after that, there was no more pain. Yes. That's what telling the truth does.
Yes. And so I would like to say to those that have been in prison, that have gotten out of prison, and they came and they made a decision to change their life. I mean, my heart and my hat goes off to you, because the only way that your life can change, or anyone's life can change, if you make a choice. If you choose to change, when you change, what happens is that you look back over your life, and you can't, but you look back and you begin to see how far you have come from where you were. And you have to realize this: one day at a time, one step, one step, one step. And then by the time you look back, you look at how far you have came. So my heart goes out, and I am so happy to see Brenda, and also, Izzy, right?
Yes.
Okay, Izzy. That's easy to remember. So many that I know that have been through those tragedies and trauma, and sometimes it's where you grew up. Sometimes it's just life happens, and you find yourself in that situation. But when you can say no more, no more. I tell my son who's in jail right now, I said, son, you have to get to a point when you have to tell yourself no more. When are you going to hit rock bottom? So I'm
Yeah.
believing and hoping that he will hit rock bottom, come up, and decide to say no more and can move on past that and look back and be able to,
Only he can do that. Only
yeah,
he could do that. Only you can do that. And let me tell you, I shared this the very first time I shared my story, that I was on this highway, right? And it was fast paced, and but I was on a highway that God kept saying, exit here, exit here, exit here. And I refused because I was Brenda Wood. I didn't need God. I didn't need anything, right? And so he put that big cinder block building in front of me, that concrete building, because
yeah,
that's what it took.
Yeah.
And that was nobody's fault but my own. And that, though, created this life now that is full of happiness. And sometimes you have to let that decision to embrace what just happened to you
yes,
become the happiness. And until you can get past that, and I had to stop with the blaming and the woe is me. And that's the thing that people don't realize. Take responsibility for your actions and show up. And once you do that, so I had somebody ask me, man, Izzy's never been to prison. Why is she your co-host? And I said, let me tell you, I might have been to prison, but Izzy's had a rougher life than I have. And I admire her for the things that she has overcome, because mentally that would destroy people. It would just, and it probably at times did with you.
I
But
watched it
she's,
destroy people around me. They
but
couldn't
you
hang.
said right.
Right. They taught me to
Mhm.
to be about it. So I was about it. I figured out what I wanted to be about, and then I was about it. That was it.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
it's a big deal. And that's what I love about you, Donald. When you speak, you tell people it's okay to be them.
yes,
It's okay
yes,
to be you. And you can still, I hate this. It's all about me. It's me time. It's not about the me, but it's still okay to be you. And there's a
yes.
difference there. Can you explain that?
Yes. When we are very critical of ourselves. We fear being judged. Oh, they're not gonna like me. Oh, because I'm this, or because I'm that, or because a lack of, or because of what I don't have. So we feel that we're going to be judged, and because of that, sometimes we make the wrong choices.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things that I have done. And even though I have not been to prison, but the thing is that we all want to be accepted. So it's all about a mindset. It's all about a choice. It's all about where we see our life 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
That's good. Yes,
When,
because it's going to be here sooner than later.
yes, as we get older, and we have our young, they have their young kids. What type of example? But even if that mistake is made, don't hold yourself. Don't beat up on yourself. Get past that and continue to move forward because your life has meaning. You
Right.
know, I put you on this earth just for you to, just to be down, but to be lifted up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And your life does have meaning. And no matter where you are, what phase of it, you know, I was in Sunday school, and one of the Sunday school students in there, the Sunday school teacher had said, "What are you guys doing after church?" And she says, "I'm gonna go to the movies." And he said, "I don't think that's good. I don't think you should go watch that movie." And she says, "I'm gonna stop you right there," because
Hmm.
she had a horrible life. Both of her kids out of wedlock, drug addicts, whatever. Now she's married. Her kids are stable. She's stable. Neither her or her husband are on drugs anymore. She says, "I think going to the movies is a pretty good thing." So we have to be careful what we tell people because we don't know where they are on that journey. And I would much rather go watch whatever movie she was watching over her having that past lifestyle. The movies was pretty doggone good. But we also have to recognize that in our own life.
Yes, yes.
Look at where you've come and see where you are now.
Yes. One of my favorite scriptures is life and death, it lies in the power of the tongue, and those that love it, they shall eat the fruit thereof. So what are you speaking over your own life? Regardless of what situation you're in, what are you saying about you?
Right.
And becoming the better you, the better me, the better version of me. That's why I'm so honored that Brenda have invited me to be one of the speakers, because first, I had a great time the last 2 times that I went, but then I also love the becoming the better you, because that name within itself, it speaks volume.
Yes, it does.
You're becoming. It's a process. You're becoming.
Always, never ending.
You. So take that.
And if you think you're there, then you haven't learned anything.
And my other favorite scripture is, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of man the things which God has prepared for you. So, for a situation that you're in, you move forward and become the better you.
Exactly. And this is bringing me full circle to how this show started today. The great thing about sharing your story or sharing what's been put on your heart to share with others, just as Donald is today, it gives us the opportunity to speak to ourselves, right? So find the right people. Come to TBY in September if you don't have your people. Come to AYPN if you're local and it's virtual. And hear people share these stories because they are powerful. Powerful. Are you a coach, Donald?
Yes, I am. I'm a coach. I'm an author. I'm a speaker, coach, and author. Yes.
So reach out to him. I mean, we all have work to do. If you don't know what that next step is for you and you enjoyed what he spoke about today, reach out to him. He'd love to connect with you.
And I'm sure you can find out all of this stuff right there at donaldtoldson.com. And I'm telling you guys, if I needed some advice, he is one that I would reach out to. So I recommend you calling him. He's down to earth. He's not going to judge you. He's going to accept you for who you are, where you are. And even when we backslide, because I'm going to tell you, we all do it. I don't care who you are. And I don't care how good you are at becoming the best version of yourself. We're still going to backslide. No matter how better we become, we still backslide. And sometimes you just need that person to bounce things off of. I call Izzy over some dumb stuff sometimes. She has to talk me off that ledge.
Never dumb. Never dumb. I breathe it in and then I put it out as love and peace and calm.
And with that, you need to find friends and people in your circle that you can do that with.
Yes.
So talk to us about your coaching services and what that looks like.
Real quick, or choose to be it yourself also. Don't just stay looking for the people. Step into it.
Thank you. The coaching service that I offer is because I'm a heartfelt speaker. I look at the person's heart. I don't look at their mistakes. I look at their heart and I look at their, where they can be. So the coaching service that I offer, we do an assessment first to find out, what those needs are. We all have different needs. So we find out what the needs are. And then we come up with a plan. We formulate a plan, and based on your goals and where you want to go, because a lot of times we say, well, I want to do this, but if we don't have it written down and we don't know how to get there, then it'll come in one ear and it'll go out the other ear. But when you have someone to say, hey, do this, hey, have you done this? So we become an accountability partner, helping to guide them to where they want to be. So those are some of the coaching services that I offer. Where have I been? Where am I now? And where do I want to go?
I like that.
And I look at, we have all heard that, hey, Tiger Woods has a coach. Michael Jordan has a coach. Mm-hmm. So regardless of what social status we're in currently or have been in, We all need a coach because what did Mr. Les Brown say? You can't see the picture when you're inside the frame.
Mm-hmm.
You need that coach on the outside looking in and say, hey, don't do this. Hey, I'm watching you. It's going to lead to a bad place. So they're coaching you out of your situation.
Right.
And that's
Man,
what
and
I do.
it's powerful. You know, Terrence is always coaching me. Dr. West is always coaching me. It's needed. It's a big deal because sometimes we don't see our own value and our own strengths and our own talents. We know we have something, but when somebody else can say, now, wait a minute, you just answered your own question, and they make you realize things for yourself, that's powerful.
It is. It is. It is. And it has been an honor to be a part of this. And I think what it does is that it helps me to continue to grow within my own self because sometimes we do things and it was only by the grace of God that we did not get caught. you know,
Exactly.
you know, I look at my brother who was.
Hey, I'm thankful for what I just got charged with because there could have been a whole lot more.
You know, I look at my brother who received a year in prison because of 4 DUIs.
Yeah.
And he's working on his PhD. They had him in prison teaching classes because
Wow.
he was a high school principal and he received a DUI, 4 DUIs, so he went to prison for 1 year. So it does not discriminate. Prison does not discriminate.
It doesn't. And unfortunately, neither do drugs.
Yes.
Drugs do not care. We are all human beings. We all are made up of the same stuff, and drugs affect everybody a little bit differently, but they are still addictive. And it messes with us, and it makes our decision process bad. We do things for that high. And I was never an addict. Mine was completely different, but I did serve a lot of time with people that were, and I saw what they went through coming off of those drugs. And I also saw some of that behavior of in the med lines and stuff of what that goes through. And 30 days is not enough for rehab. It's not.
No.
It's
not. Well, Donald, tell us what you would tell folks watching. Thank you so much for joining us. Give us some parting words of wisdom.
Thank you so much. As you begin to look at your life, your best life, don't look at your past because your past, it's just like someone looking in a mirror and they're driving. They're going to crash and burn. The only thing that your past can do is remind you of the mistakes that you made. But take it, learn from it, and make the changes that is necessary and continue to move forward and to become the best you, the better you, and to go out and just live your best life. Life and death lies in the power of the tongue.
Yes.
Live life over yourself.
I love that.
Absolutely. And never stop learning. I learned something just this weekend. So we had a women's weekend pretty much. So Izzy was able to teach. I was in another direction. We were dividing and conquering. But Lotus Roche was in town. And she's on our From Felon to Fabulous board. And we didn't go to bed till like 2:30 in the morning, right? And we had to be back up at 6. So I go in and I'm knocking on the door, let her know the bathroom's free. And she's already up and she's already in there meditating. She's got music playing and she's singing and she's just so happy. And I was like, wow, I'm learning something from her because she really is living the life that she teaches others to live. I witnessed it firsthand. And to me, that's powerful when you see somebody actually doing what they teach. So do what you say, make your actions match, and that will change your life. That's why I tell people, change your mindset, change your actions, and it will change your life. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy these next commercials. Go on over to comechangeyourlife.com, see what's going on with this next event, and come meet Donald in person. Come meet us all in person.
Yeah.
See you guys. Stay tuned for more episodes.
Thank you.
that loves. Because you can still stand tall and be as big as you want to be when you are this person.